Hello twin flames, welcome to my channel, whether you're new or you're coming back. Today we're talking about full moon in Capricorn. It is connected with the planet of Saturn, and we've talked about Saturn repeatedly on this channel, so you would know, if you've been following, that Saturn responds for or is responsible for karmic lessons, for the way we learn, just generally our learning patterns, and the it's sort of like a how do you perceive information about the world, right? Like, how thorough are you what are you basing your judgment on, and things like that. And of course, in turn, Saturn, it's like a two parts of it, right? In turn, Saturn is placing its judgment. It's like a judgment call, a judgment moment, where there's a rebalancing of karma, and it's comparing a sort of like debit and credit balance of what you've been doing and what's that recalibration supposed to be. So Saturn will be going into retrograde later this year, I think in October. For now, it's speaking with the moon directly because the moon is in Saturn, and essentially it's helping us see, as the full moon energy would suggest, it's helping us see certain things and lessons that we may have missed, and also be grateful for certain beautiful things in our lives that we've missed, right? For some kind of giftings, and of course, if it's almost like in that Christmas song where Santa Claus is checking the list, or is making his list and checking it twice, and we're gonna see who's been naughty or nice. It's kind of that moment where the remedial karma gets in, whether it's positive or negative depends on how you've been and what you've learned, right? So it's an opportunity for us. It may sound a little grim, but it is an opportunity for us, this full moon specifically, to notice these things that we may have missed. And we should be asking, especially if there is an area in our life where we're not satisfied, we don't feel like it's in harmony, or you're in divine alignment, that that's the baseline, right? It's not like everything will be going perfectly smoothly all the time, but a lot of times we can use our intuition to sense whether we are on track, whether this is part of the universal unfolding, and everything is happening exactly the way it's supposed to be, or we are off somewhere and the universe is trying to return us back, get us back on track, or get us to notice certain things that we are denying. Or maybe there's certain toxic pattern that we've normalized for ourselves, which happens a lot of time, right? Of course, there is a denial of something negative, or understanding that something bad is happening, or I have bad habits, but like you're just not ready to take it one step further and deal with it, right? Like there is that. But there's also so much more in the area where we don't really recognize it, because we don't register that as a problem, because for different reasons we've normalized it in our lives, and we don't really see that as much of an issue, or we never were taught on that topic before. Anyway, we are gonna do our normal read, but of course we'll have the intention of looking at this strawberry moon, as farmers call it, mostly because it's the summer season. It's greeting us at the summer season, just had solstice, so this is like that first full moon, and they almost coincide, so it's pretty special in its own way. We'll see what this moon illuminates for us at this time, so it will be the first question for each of the twins. Then we'll see what can we do to sort of improve and make it better. That will be the second question. Make this experience even better. How do we collaborate with the energy of the moon at this time, and Saturn? And then the third one is going to be what is the message for the connection specifically. But before we start, as always, I've got an oracle deck, It's called The Whispers of the Ocean, and I already shuffled while I was talking, and I got the card for Divine Feminines. Got number 2, dive into new depths. That's exactly what I'm talking about. That's what gets illuminated, you know, something deep. And I just made this go yellow. Yeah, I don't know, it didn't used to do that. I think my camera got an upgrade, and this is like a new feature now. I don't know. There's a deeper meaning to what is happening. You might be looking at this from the surface and missing what is really going on. Take a moment to pause and breathe. Allow yourself to dive deeper into what it is you're feeling about your current situation. What is it that you're feeling? The moon is about feelings and emotions, especially emotions. A lot of times we kind of mix up the two. They're not the same, but I would say whatever comes to you, work with that energy. And number 50 for the masculines, childlike devotion. I like it. You are a multi-talented, complex being. Embrace and love who you are. So we actually saw some issues with self-worth during this week's readings. So this is like that next level for self-love and turning to self and appreciating the person you are and how far you've come. Okay, I am going to use the Good Tarot for this read. Let's see what we have. I already pre-shuffled, and we're going to get started, and we'll also get clarifiers. For the bottom of the deck, we have 10 of Earth, 10 of Pentacles. I love it. Capricorn is the Earth energy, so this is a very much a favorable, aligned energy, you know. So there's definitely an energy of abundance that we can tap into at this time. So if you need like an extra stimuli and you're like, oh, why would I be doing all this stuff with the full moon? Like, why would I be taking any action at all? Why should I care? Right? Like, this is your answer. You have the path to abundance, and there's justice. Ta-da! Justice actually, well, it's not judgment, it's justice, right? But it has a similar vibe to it in terms of this is the decisive moment where, like, the justice could be like a justice in a court, right? It's one of the meanings of the justice card, by the way. The actual, like, legal proceedings, court decisions. And that's what Saturn is doing. It's like sitting in their throne as a, you know, as a justice and making judgments and, you know, speaking out the sentences and all that stuff. So that's exactly what's happening right now. So what is being illuminated for the feminines? 2 of Earth clarified the Page of Wands. Yeah, so this is about the importance of focus and what's the word? And diligence. Focus and diligence and consistency. You know, like that's your recipe for success. And you see that maybe somewhere where you didn't think you'll have a victory, or maybe you didn't think you had skills, like you didn't have a lot, you didn't bet on it that much, right? Like you didn't count on it that much, but you were consistent, you were diligent, and you got results, even when you started really with something really small. And then there's something else that I'm getting here, hence the 2 of Pentacles, where you may have thought, no, I can just win it, I'll figure it out on the fly. And it didn't happen, even though you had experience in that area. And that's Saturn for you. Consistency, diligence, you know, that's a big part of Capricorn energy. For feminines, we have, for masculine, sorry, we have 10 of Water, clarified by Queen of Wands. Very interesting. So, yeah, this is happiness, but this is happiness from the spiritual awakening. From realizing the power within, realizing the benefit of all the events that have happened, even if they were negative, right? So this is like that karma appreciation on new level. Yeah, seeing the connection of how it brought you where you are and made you the mature and wise person you are. And I love this energy, although it's a queen, and this is for the masculines, but what's illuminated is yes, of course, there is a certain connection to the feminine and their story. And there is, and for each set of twins, of course, it will be very personal. of how they see a mirror of that in their own life, right? And certain synchronicities that will reiterate to them about this maturity, wisdom, and the past that has led them here. I'm getting for some of them, they used to be ashamed of certain aspects of the past, but now they realize that it was a blessing in disguise, and that without that part of the story, without that chapter, a lot of the good stuff wouldn't have happened. But they can see it through the prism of the feminine story, and how they turned it around, and how they are wearing it proudly. And so they understand now that they don't need to be ashamed of that. What is the action that the feminines can take at this time to maximize the energy of the moon? 10 of Fire, clarified by 8 of Swords. So it's actually one of the rituals we can use during full moon. If you remember, it's a burn-in ritual where you can put down everything you want to release or remove, or, you know, live in the past and have a closure on, and you can burn that. And I mean, usually it's more for fire element, but if you think about it, you actually combine several elements there anyway, because if we're doing that at home, we usually use a bowl of water where we can throw a piece of paper when it starts like really burning to avoid any fire hazard, right? So you can turn that around, work with it, but this could be something for you. Of course, you can do something similar with the earth. You can write it up on a piece of paper and bury it in the earth, right? But I would say I would still rather do that one with the new moon. And for the full moon, the burning is better, because it's like you're destroying it, you're removing it, you know, you're cleansing the energy. So yeah, there's definitely, it's gonna help you get rid of certain feeling of stuckness in your head, like being fixated on something that just wouldn't resolve itself, that's bothering you. You know, like this is just this feeling of letting go of too many expectations of yourself. I'm getting for some. For others, just the strict expectations of other people, you know, and not knowing how to reconcile the wishful thinking and the reality of it, you know, because there is a gap. And my hand just got stuck to a card. Sorry guys, I'll need to pick it up. I'll do my best, I'll do my best. For the masculines, what action can they take? Ace of Earth clarified by Ace of Swords. This is so beautiful. Even the card itself, like, look at the card. Oh my god. And yes, this is Earth. Like, again, the Capricorn energy, the Saturn energy, you know, 2 aces. Start fresh. Don't overthink the past mistakes. Start a clean slate. And yes, start it in a conscious way. That's the Ace of Swords, right? Very mindful exactly what you're doing and why. Yes, it may sound like overthinking at first, but it's not to like pick the, like, be nitty-gritty about every little detail, but be more mindful of what happened in the communication, how you feel about it, what is it that you want to deliver to your feminine, you know, or any other person actually that you're building this new start with. It also doesn't have to be just about the feminine. Maybe there are like, well, there are definitely masculines that are not ready for this kind of start with the feminine yet, but this is a new start in their life, or something that they need to do for themselves to have that confidence, or, you know, to see themselves in a different light, right? And whatever it is, just be extra mindful of what you're doing, not to repeat the previous mistakes, but not like blaming yourself for it, but essentially focusing on doing better and being better this time, right? And it's gonna be something in the material realm, and it's gonna, you know, the Saturn is gonna reward you for that, essentially, right? For being mindful, for doing something like, look at this deer, for example. To me, it speaks to connection to nature and the universal law of unity, of oneness, you know. So that could be something to keep in mind, you know, when you're, I don't know, maybe you're making a business deal with someone and you're trying to negotiate the best conditions for yourself, right? Or maybe just this time, try to think about the other person's position. The camera is playing up again. And see what it looks like on their side of the fence, so to speak, right? And maybe you can find a win-win situation, right? That everybody can benefit from. It doesn't have to be you or them, you know? Okay, now, feminines. This connection. What do the feminines need to know? What is this moon changing or illuminating for the connection specifically? Five of Earth clarified by the star. There's a lot of healing, and yeah, Five of Earth, again, this is an earthly energy of lack mentality, of being left out, of not feeling enough. So there's a big opportunity for healing this, for the connection specifically. And again, up to you in every set of twins. There will be some specific topics, right? This is a general read, but there is something there where you're still feeling like, either because of something your twin has done to you or the way they treated you, you feel like there's something wrong with you, or you're not good enough, or you're not going to be a worthy match, or just in your own mind, because maybe it's something that, I don't know, maybe your previous partner's criticizing you, or even your parents criticizing you, and you're like, yeah, well, as soon as they find out that I'm da-da-da-da-da, they aren't gonna be happy, like, it's not gonna be great, right? Like, you need to change the storyline around it, even if something bad happened in the past. I'm not saying ignore it, I'm saying accept it and move on. And remember, when your twin is ready, we all have shortcomings, but they're gonna be ready for that as well. The same way you are going to be ready to face their shortcomings as well. What is illuminated to the masculines about the connection? We have transformation, which is death and rebirth, ta-da. And actually we've seen this for them repeatedly recently. We have Six of Cups. So they understand how this is a deep, deep soul connection. They may not know the terminology, right? But a lot of times we call it a past life connection too. Like, they understand this is definitely beyond this lifetime, even if it's not something that they believe in terms of religion or belief system. Like, they understand that this is so much deeper. Like, there's definitely something fated in this connection, and not just because of certain synchronicities and like how similar you are in certain things, like how you complement each other perfectly well, but also in the way that, like, there's always something that the feminine says and does, and it's like exactly what the masculine needs to trigger the transformation. And it may seem simple, but as soon as it's said, it's like magic word. It's like a spell has been cast, and it triggers this transformation in a good way. You know, beautiful, and they know it, and they see it during this time vividly or on a new level, how powerful it is and how connected they are to their feminines. Okay, I'm gonna leave it here. Thank you so much for joining me today, guys. I love you all, and I'll be back with more readings very, very soon.